What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome. It's 2 o'clock in the afternoon, Eastern Standard Time. I am the Crypto Crow, and I've been grinding this morning, hit the gym already this morning. I'm doing like 50 squats, like old man should. And then I did some heavy bag work. I was folding that bag today, and it's a heavy bag. It wasn't even a tie bag, and I was still folding that shit. People were looking at, what the hell is your problem? But, you know, it's just an old man trying to, like, you know, stay in some kind of shape, getting into a little bit of better shape. But anyway, yeah, there's some cool stuff that I want to talk about. Number one, we're going to talk about Cardano whales and what they're doing, while so many of you are basically just ignoring it, and ultimately, you know, potentially going to miss out on quite a lot. We've got some things to discuss about the World Economic Forum. Not too much. We already covered some of that yesterday. I've been building a game in a website. Actually, I'll show you guys at the end of this if you're interested. It'll be kind of fun. Because I'm building websites and you know, working on getting more clients and things. So I'm building something that I haven't seen anybody do yet, to kind of demonstrate what Dirty Leopard's capabilities are. If you don't know, dirtyleopard.com, if you need a website. I cover a lot of this stuff early on in the videos, just as people are getting notifications and things. So bear with me. We'll get to the good stuff soon. But yeah, dirtyleopard.com if you need a website. If you're running an old WordPress website for your business, there's a better way to do a lot more cheaper. So hit me up if you're interested. Always got good content that's being released on dirtyleopard.com as well. If you think you want to try and do stuff on your own, I'll actually teach you through some of these articles how to do it. But chances are you'd rather have somebody like me do it for you. Let's be real. So anyway, check that out. UFC 324 is coming up, and I'm excited about this. This is the first Paramount Plus UFC event. Oftentimes I don't watch a lot of the UFC events because, well, I do love my karate combat. Pow, pow, pow. I'm wearing the rash guard today, and I was wearing my karate combat sweatshirt when I was working out. I've been doing that a lot lately. I kind of dig it because it gets me all hot and bothered. No, it's just yeah, I don't know what it does, but it helps me for some reason. But anyway, Patty Pimblett versus Justin Gaethje. My girlfriend is also, like, my wife always talks about Sad Guru's her man. I'm like, well, Rose Namajunas is my girlfriend, but she's fighting, and that's going to be Sean O'Malley's fighting. Derek Lewis is fighting. I mean, this is going to be an exciting card, man, for the first Paramount Plus. It's basically free pay-per-view. This is, I mean, I'm pumped about this. I really am. I'm super excited. Who's on the other card? Michael Johnson's on the undercard. Ooh, okay. I always look to see if Chris Curtis is fighting, but I know he was injured and he's been out for a while. But anyway, so that's coming up this weekend. I'm going to be watching that probably on my phone because I don't have a choice. So yeah. Anyway, let's go ahead and get to some of the good stuff. Cardano whales are accumulating $360 million worth of ADA as spot volume crashes 95%. This is funny because I'm kind of like, you know, so many people, when this market does turn around, so many people are going to do really well. Unfortunately, I've basically been living off of the same sum since 2021. And so it's kind of like, you know, I thought I had everything timed properly. I thought, well, everything's going to be booming in 2025, like, you know, and I had my holdings, had my assets in place. I thought, man, if this just goes like, if it could just go back to $3, I'm going to be golden. And, you know, $5, it's like, I'll never have to think about money again. Well, here we are. It's 2026 and everything is still in the shitter as we're waiting for all of this crypto regulation, all the institutions to basically muscle themselves into positions that empower them over us. And it's all being basically worked out. But there are definitely people in the know. And while the retail market is basically looking at everything like, man, this has been down for that long. That's been down for that long. That crypto's terrible. Crypto's no good. And a lot of people are basically buying stocks. Well, there's going to be a transition, and it is going to be happening sooner than later. And I think that a lot of people are going to be missing the crypto boat. And what's going to happen is this transition, all these people are going to be buying into they're buying into these other assets that they consider to be safer right now. And I do think that once these regulations, the Clarity Act and all this infrastructure stuff passes, I really do think like we're going to start seeing gold and silver, a lot of the traditional markets, a lot of that stuff is going to start pumping money into risk on assets such as crypto. And those people that are basically running to these other things, expecting those to be the safe things, well, then they're going to lose, as a lot of the people that were buying the crypto assets while there's blood in the streets are going to be the ones that really end up doing very well this year. That's what I wholeheartedly believe. I don't know exactly when that's going to kick off, but the whales seem to know, like they're and I, it's difficult in crypto because you can't, the people don't have to file disclosures and things, right? Like they do in securities markets. So we don't know who a lot of these whales are, but as spot volume has been going down, whales are heavily accumulating Cardano. Somebody knows something somewhere and they're acting on it. So we'll see what that turns out to be. The insider wallet that made over $100 million on the October tariff trade in threat of liquidation if just one asset continues to dip. Funding bleed plus clustered ETH leverage near $2,600 to $2,400 sets up a domino path towards 2268 threshold. This is not good. A single wallet on Hyperliquid holds a long position worth roughly $649.6 million in Ethereum, with 223,340 ETH entered at around 3161, with a liquidation estimate near 2268. As of press time, ETH traded around $2,900, and the liquidation threshold sits about 22% below that. This is far enough to avoid imminent danger, but close enough to matter if volatility accelerates. So some whales basically sitting on $649 million worth of Ethereum leverage, and hopefully they don't get liquidated. The position has already bled roughly $56 million in unrealized losses and another $6.79 million in funding costs, leaving a cushion of about $129.9 million before forced closure. That sucks, man. That really does suck. But that's the name of the game. When you're talking about leverage, spot, when you buy spot, you buy some Cardano at 36 cents, and you accumulate what you can. If it drops down to 33 cents, you can get a little bit more, average your entry down. You know what I mean? You don't really lose. You just can kind of improve your position as best you can with the capital you have available, if you believe that asset is going to go up. In leverage, if it goes down a certain point, well, you can lose it all. You get liquidated. And that's what sucks about leverage, because the institutions, I definitely wholeheartedly believe, control the leverage markets, especially in crypto. I've explained why a million times and how that works. So I don't know. The same wallet, however, made over $100 million during October crypto sell-off, riding two Bitcoin shorts and an Ethereum long opened in early October to combined profits of $101.6 million across positions that lasted between 12 and 190 hours. Well, hats off to you, whoever you are. Hopefully this goes well, because if it goes well for this gentleman or woman or whoever it is, then if they do well on this trade, we all do well. So hopefully that works out. My long on Night token is down $347. So we'll see what happens with that. I mean, this is interesting because we had this crazy wick down to like basically 5 cents, 0.05157. And that was on the 18th. So maybe we're working our way down from there. I don't know. This looks like a nice solid M pattern. Looks like we would have had one drop there, probably two drops here. We could be concluding a third drop down somewhere. I don't know where this third drop could end, but ultimately then it's at some point we could get a reversal and start working our way back to the upside. A lot of the stuff I do believe hinges on the Clarity Act and what's happening. And if I look at Oh, I thought I had it up here. Okay, I guess I don't. This is Cardano's liquidity heat map. When I look at Cardano, you can see that a lot of the stuff, a lot of the liquidity really just vanishes. I mean, basically anything below 34 cents, there's no liquidity there. And the highest concentrations, I mean, the highest concentration at the lowest point is around 34.8. So, I mean, beyond that, there's really not that much activity. So I'm hoping it doesn't go much lower. I mean, the floor has generally been around like this 33 cents. That was the floor. And we still didn't even, break down into that area. So, and then of course, a lot of that is dried up. And you can also see here the volume on the liquidity of these orders. I mean, it just continues to drop off. So, there's no real reason for market makers to want to try and send the price lower. There's actually more available to the upside. There's more volume and everything. There's more liquidity. There's more money to be had if Cardano goes up in price than if it were to go down. It's probably about the same, I guess, but the volume is much higher to the upside. So we'll see how that plays out. I'm a little concerned, but I do have some hope for some things in the shorter term. Bitcoin's prices are recovering as gold retreats because a surprise framework deal just killed the tariff threat. And that definitely seems like, when Trump comes out, tariff this, tariff that, then all of a sudden the markets start to go down. And I definitely believe it's the foothold that a lot of the institutions have on the space, quite frankly. President Donald Trump's announcement that he would not impose tariffs scheduled for February 1st triggered a sharp reversal in risk assets, with Bitcoin rebounding above 90,000 after testing 87.3 earlier in the session. The move erased most of a two-day sell-off driven by trade war fears tied to Trump's Greenland push, confirming Bitcoin's status as a high beta macro asset that amplifies directional swings when geopolitical headlines shift quickly. Gold and silver tumbled following the announcement. So it's like the more uncertainty there is in what's happening with Trump and the tariffs and Greenland and Venezuela and all this stuff, it's like it's pushing the value of gold and silver up. But once we've established some more security and what's going to happen next, that's when I think that we're going to start seeing some of that spill off into risk on assets like crypto. And I think that the infrastructure bill is going to play a big part in that, quite frankly, because I think once we have that in play, then, I mean, let's just be real about it. Things are going to turn around. There's some other things in my feed here. U.S. Senate will continue discussing Bitcoin and crypto market bill at 2 p.m. Well, they should be talking about it right now. This bill will inject over $2 trillion into the market. Actually, a lot more than that. I mean, everything's being tokenized. So this whole thing, and I pointed this out yesterday, Larry Fink really makes me nervous because he just makes me nervous, and I'm not feeling what he's putting out. Everybody's trying to figure out what common blockchain, like you remember yesterday, I pointed out how he was saying how we need a common blockchain. And I'm like, it's not going to be anything that we are using. It's going to be something that they create themselves. Why would one of the biggest powers on the globe, why would one of the biggest powers on the globe use an already existing blockchain that they don't control? Why would they do that? Everything that these people do is about control. The entire World Economic Forum is about how they control the plebs so that they can profit and establish further control. Why do you think Bill Gates, look at everything the man touches. Everything he touches ultimately evolves around controlling the populace for one reason or another while he profits. I don't think the man touches anything. Oh, he's a philanthropist. I see all of these like MCSE certified dubs, and they love to, like, I don't know, so many people worship Bill Gates. Like, do you guys not know the history of Bill Gates? He was one of the most crooked ass bastards back in the day when he was basically ripping off Microsoft. Was it 3.1? And he would he steal that? Unless I'm mistaken, I think he ripped that off of it was a copy company, I think, and their user interface. And he's like, oh, that's a good idea. And so he started using that for Windows, and then he started a monopoly. And then when the government came out against him and basically shut him down on all of the software monopolies he had, well, all of a sudden he's a philanthropist, and his whole tone changes. But I mean, look at everything he does. He jumps on board something, he makes a whole bunch of money, and then he comes out against it after once the train ride's over. And I'm sure, Larry Fink and Gates and a lot of these guys, they're all buddies. I mean, when Gates came out and basically said that global warming was a bunch of BS after he had profited like how many billions of dollars from the narrative, just like all the rest of these goons, like, do you really think they give two shits about us? No. Everything that they want to do is about control and making sure that they are the button pushers for all of it. And it's not about benefiting us, and it's not about making anybody rich because we already hold this layer 1 token that the world is going to suddenly decide to utilize for basically the transition out of the old ways of things and into the new. They're going to launch their own if they haven't already. So, I'm seeing people say it's going to be Ethereum. Well, anything is possible. Could be Ethereum, could be Solana. I know it's not going to be Cardano. I mean, I'm sure of that, because if you're any groups that are looking to have control over a populace, they're not going to use a truly decentralized. Cardano is the chain for the people. Cardano is not the chain for the institutions. Cardano is not the chain that's going to be utilized by anybody that's trying to control people. It's against the very nature of Cardano. That'd be like saying they're going to use Bitcoin. You're not going to do that. Bitcoin is like the safe haven asset for everyone with a wallet. That was the whole point of its design. So no, I mean, whatever they use, they're going to use it because they know they can control people with it. And if I'm very honest, and I know a lot of you Solana lovers out there are going to love this, but if and I'm just going to be real honest about it. It's how I look at it. If I were an international group of some of the most corrupt, greedy, control freaking narcissists on the planet, what chain would I most likely want to use to control everybody? I would probably want to use Solana. I mean, I'm just going to be honest. They can shut it down at will. They can do what they want with it. We already know a lot of the narratives associated with it. And yeah, does that send Solana's price up? Yeah, probably. Are they part of that conversation because they've been paying their way through it out of necessity just to basically keep things flowing enough to keep the validators online as the number of validators continue to plummet? It doesn't matter, man. It's all narrative. Even if it were temporary, I could see that being a thing. I would rather see something like Ethereum be utilized, and maybe it will be. Maybe Tom Lee has known something about this for quite a while, which is why he's basically the Ethereum version of Michael in MicroStrategy. I mean, it's basically the approach that Tom Lee's playing to Ethereum. They're buying it up. Ethereum's going to 35,000. It's going to be the biggest thing in the world. I mean, he's become basically the Michael Saylor of Ethereum. So I don't know how this is all going to transform, but JP Morgan, the world's largest bank, is now live on Ethereum. The official real world asset product is my on-chain net yield fund. Money powered by whatever, man. So, I mean, that's a nod to the Ethereum chain. So, we'll see. I can see a lot. Like I said, though, it doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. Whatever layer 1 they decide to use to try and tokenize all the assets and securities and everything going on in the world, it's they can use one as the super highway for everything, but it's not gonna change the fact that we're gonna have multiple chains that are connected. And if there's any chain that is gonna be the most interoperable chain for all of these different use cases, it's going to be Cardano. So Cardano is going to play a major role in a lot of this to one extent or another. I just don't think it's going to be the layer 1 that all these power hungry freaks like want to use to do it. So, it is what it is. Yeah. So we'll see. This is my website that I've been building for my book. And what's funny is I built this all to ultimately promote my book. I wrote this book a while back. You can buy it right now. It's on Amazon. A lot of really great reviews. People seem to really enjoy it. But I thought I need to do something that both promotes my book and basically demonstrates some of what I'm capable of in terms of web development and all of that. And so these are the cards for the game and things, but I'll show you this. This is still in development. I'm still working on it. But if I click play now, oh shit, I gotta log in. Oh, I don't want to log in right now. Hold on. I'll pull this out and I'll log in. Give me just a second. I thought I was already logged in. I don't even know if that's it. Okay. All right. That was it. All right. So I'm logged in. I already created a team, but basically what happens is I can go in and I create my team. I have my hero. I can select other heroes if I want, and they all have different abilities and stats and things. And then I come down here and I pick what robots I want in my team. And ultimately what you're doing is you're going to be, you're fighting. They're going to be different maps and such, but you're fighting. I got to place my team down. You're fighting in like a junkyard is basically what it is. And when you've got your team cards, you roll over, you see their stats and what they can do. And then I can move them. I can do different things with them. So I'm going to start my battle with the corniest music ever. That's all going to change. And I have my team, and then there are nodes and there are salvage points. You want to try and control the salvage points, and then you get upgrade cards that you can attach to your robots to make them more powerful. And yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that I'm doing with this, and this is all web based. So you move, it tells you like how many hexes you can move, and then every robot has an ability, and you're going to basically be able to go head to head with other people and play the game. And the idea is you want to make your robots more powerful, playing through, controlling the nodes for victory points. The more victory points you get, the better you do. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot more that still has to go into this, but I mean, this is going to be pretty cool. I'm going to set it up so you can pick what battle maps you want to play on. There are going to be different ones. They're going to some outside and the deserts and all these places. You got a combat log down here. So yeah, I mean, that's basically what you do. And you can attack, you can use abilities, all kinds of stuff. So that's the Billy Boltz game that I'm building. And I don't know. I just wanted to show that off. I mean, I'm like really big on, I'm getting everything set up so that I'm actively going to start marketing myself for dirtyleopard.com to try and attract some more web business. And yeah, I don't know. I love creating. I love building sites. I love building just whatever I can. I'm addicted to it. So yeah, I mean, that's pretty much that. I don't need this video to be super long. But Billy Boltz, hit the like. Yeah, I love my Billy. I've been doing stuff around this Billy Boltz world for, I don't know, 20 years, man. I mean, and at some point I'm going to get another book together, but for right now, I'm just focusing on selling the one I've got and doing what I can to build around it. Hey, Crow, any chain will work. It's where the money goes. Problem is money's got no morals. We need to educate to put the money in chains that will protect people like Cardano and Bitcoin. Yeah, it's true. But I'm at a point now where anything in the top 20, like if the majority of these assets, if risk on assets, especially, I mean, really anything in the top 25, top 50, if that all starts to climb and do well and all of these layer one ecosystems start to expand and grow, I mean, it helps us all. And it's just like everything that's coming down the pipe for Cardano, I mean, like with Laos and just all of it, you know what I mean? As it starts being really utilized for some major things, I'm still believing, and I maybe people will disagree with me, but I still believe wholeheartedly that there isn't a better chain or even partnership of chains than Cardano and Midnight for national identity. I really think it's going to happen. And I think that when that does happen, I mean, there's just, I think Night is going to be primarily used for that, obviously, for all of the zero knowledge stuff. And because it creates its own gas. So it's effectively going to be something. I can't imagine another chain out there that would benefit more, or the use and the companies or the groups or whoever builds the systems for digital ID. I mean, you're using a chain that creates its own gas, its own fees. That's going to be pivotal. And I can't imagine another chain that would do it. You're effectively going to be building applications that run with privacy. It's all geared around identification. And you're going to be able to run those apps and do all that stuff with no expense ultimately, right? So I definitely can't imagine that there's going to be another chain that's used for digital ID in any way that makes sense. So, I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, I'm just looking forward to everything starting to turn around. Because I don't know how long that this thing's going to wait. If you scroll down X, you see, one person, they're just regurgitating a lot of shit from like a week ago, 2 weeks ago, acting like this infrastructure bill is going to be signed tomorrow or signed any day. I don't think so. I think this is going to keep going back and forth. We could get a surprise like, hey, surprise, this was just signed last night at 2 a.m. and we're all moving forward. And then we get a big market pump and everything's happy. But I think this is going to be, I think it's a little trickier than that. So I don't know. Ada and Night. Yes, I've been saying this. Cardano isn't competing with Sol and ETH. It's more for government. We'll see. We'll see. I think a lot of major international and enterprise level use cases are going to benefit substantially from Cardano and Midnight. I feel like if you want to control people on your chain, you're probably not going to use Cardano in that sense. Like if you want to control them as a financial instrument, I think there are other chains that are going to give you that control, which completely goes against the very nature of crypto as it is. But that's not what it's about. The institutions don't like crypto. They don't want crypto. But I think that the people that initially created Bitcoin to spawn this era of disruption, I believe that they are probably the people even above those in international banking. And I think there's something to that. I don't know what, but that's a whole other topic. But I definitely think that things are going to come to a head sooner than later. I don't think this is going to take months and months. I don't. I think this is something that obviously the current administration really wants to push through immediately because they want to start building and they want to start laying the groundwork for all of their friends and all of their people in finance to be able to start really, making some serious profit off of the tokenization of everything that we know of in the world right now. So have you noticed that every time we have one of these major dips, then the good news comes back? It never goes back to its prior level and keeps staircasing downward. Yes, because they are, when you're slowly pushing the confidence of the retail market out of a space you're wanting to control, that is the time for you to continue accumulating slowly as you continue pushing the price down through narratives. I mean, if I go to like Crypto Slate News, I don't think there's a bullish or good spirited, fun article in the whole lot. It's all doom and gloom. And I believe that a lot of that narrative is controlled, and for a reason. They want the retail markets out. They don't want anybody in competing with the price. They want the prices to go lower, especially on assets they are going to be using for ETFs or like whatever the case may be, right? Because if they can accumulate those cheaper, here's what happens is while the retail market is basically running towards gold, silver, other assets that they think are going to be safer, and then the narrative flips and then all the news starts getting more bullish. I mean, this could literally turn over 48 hours. We could go from everybody's scared, nobody knows what's happening, and then over a period of 48 hours, the entire sentiment in the world can change on a dime. And then everybody's going to be clamoring to get back into crypto because prices are low and everything is going up. And now's my opportunity to get back in. So, it is what it is, but we're going to see some growth, I do believe, at some point. I just think that everything is being very, very stringently controlled. So, yeah. Literally no one wants to be in crypto right now except for the OGs. The retail market is dead. Yeah, well, congratulations. I mean, that's all by design. Warren Buffett, I mean, it says himself, you buy when blood's in the streets. Now, there's been plenty of blood in the street for plenty of time, but we also have to look at the conduits and the catalysts for a lot of that. Now is the time where, I think that what we've done, and one of these days when I have some time, maybe once I get a few websites done and things are moving forward with Dirty Leopard and I feel a little more comfortable, I'll spend a lot more time. There's a lot of charting that I want to look into, and not just charting, but like on-chain data to me doesn't mean as much in what I want to do. But I have a belief that the institutional playbooks and how they move assets and move markets, I think that there's something to that, and how we've basically taken what ultimately is done over a 2 to 3 year period and condensed it into like a 6-month period, based on everything that's happening right now. I think that what we're going to call a super cycle is really a multitude of future cycles condensed into shorter time frames. That's what I think. And rather than us seeing these dramatic, crazy pumps and these substantial drops, I think we're going to start seeing that stuff pop off on a regular basis, more consistently, probably on an uptrend towards 2030. And I think that these bills and everything that we're waiting on right now are going to be the catalyst to lift off of that. So that's that. That's all I have to say about all that stuff right now. I'm going to get back to work, folks. So thanks for joining.